Pugs. Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Pugs. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. You're froze. You're froze up.
I'm not froze on my end. I look great. Oh, you're froze on my end.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Oh, man.
But
that totally worked. What an idiot.
But you are definitely frozen. You are definitely frozen. Hey,
no.
Now you're there. There he goes. He's back. Parker, he's back. All right, very good. Hold on. I am way behind the curve today. I literally, not literally, I didn't just walk in. I wasn't like a fireman where I walked in the door and sat down. I got here fun fact, I left, ended the show at 2:30, had to leave at 3 to go do some stuff, had to do some running around, had to meet with somebody, had to do all kinds of stuff. I just got back in at like 8:35. So here we go. We're here now. How you doing? This is Pillow Talk, Pugs and Parker. That's him and me. This is the second of 2 streams that I do each and every day. The first one is called High Noon. It comes on at, noon. See how that works out? Central Time, all time Central, because Central Time, the great time, the best time, the preferred time. That's more of a, I like to call it utilitarian because I love that word, but that's truly what I intended. It is supposed to be a prep show for you. I discuss all the things that are trending, all the things that are headlines, everything that's a hot topic of the day. We run through it, boom, 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 in about 2 hours there, starting at noon every day. So join us, won't you? This is just a little bit more chemistry oriented. This is me and Parker. But Parker's got a job. Parker works all day. Whereas, I sit around in my guest house and I do streams. But
you
Parker,
really don't do anything all day? You don't have a job or something?
You know what I do? I do this. I do this till 2:00. And then I've recently started, and by that I mean last Thursday, and didn't do it Friday, but did it Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to finish the book in the next 2 weeks. So that's what I'm doing. And that's
wow.
Yeah, thank you.
Did I miss the official announcement that may or may not include Kelly?
I mentioned it, the podcast that we're working on.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about it, so I missed it. What is it?
What? Huh?
You didn't tell me about this.
I thought you knew about this.
You have not told me about this, and that's okay. I'm on a need-to-know basis. I get it.
I just don't know what you know. I thought you knew everything. Yeah,
I know Jack.
Yeah, Kelly and I are going to be unveiling a new podcast, her and I, for the Radio Misfits Network. It is going to be an advice podcast. It is going to be in the format of the old HGDs, where we are going to take people's fucked up situations and we are just going to tear them apart.
Easy. First off, HGD, human growth and development.
We're not going to call it that. It's because that you had to have been, you know what I mean? Like, you knew what an HGD was if you listened to our show every day. But this is going up on a larger platform where people from nobody's going to know what an HGD is. So I believe, and this ultimately comes down to Ed, we're going to call it Bad Vice with Pugs and Kelly. See, it's going to be like a small B and then a big advice. See, Bad Vice.
Man, I do like that.
It's not bad.
I like that a lot.
That is not bad.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is, we used to fancy ourselves as advice columnists. We used to fancy ourselves as, sort of a newfangled radio version of the Dear Abby. And there ain't anything like that happening really in the podcast world. So maybe, you find your niche, you go for it and you drill it down. So that's
I like it. I am a big fan of Dr. Drew.
We're gonna do that kind of thing. It's gonna be a whole advice kind of thing. And then there will probably be other probably be other podcasts that her and I do together as well. We may even do just like whatever. What are you doing, Kelly? Like one of those kind of things, just kind of like an old get to know thing. The problem with that was that her mother was sick. And she was taking care of her mother, so she didn't really have much time for that. But as soon as we get all past that, and Kelly's mom died a few weeks ago. I don't know if you're aware of this. So
Jesus, no.
Yeah. So that's out there looming for all of us. That is so as soon as she as soon as she's ready, we're just gonna. It's not like we're waiting for her. I mean, she's taking all the time she needs, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, kind of a big deal. Kind of a horrible big deal.
Yeah, especially since she was taking care of her and all that. All right, let me jump quickly. I saw a couple of questions. John says, my man John big supporter of the show. Love John. Thank you. You can support the show too. You can see all the links down there. It's the end of the month. If you can help, you can help. That'd be great. Appreciate it. John, big supporter of the show. Saw a post from Richard Hunter today. Do you still talk to him? I do not talk to him. It's not like we're not friends. I think we're probably friends forever. I text with him. Like when weird things come up, I'll text with him. Like for instance, there was something that came up in the news just recently concerning a radio personality here in town who we both worked with, and who got in some police trouble, and we talked about that, and that was just a couple of weeks ago, and we extensively expressed our opinions and that. So yeah, John, I still talk to John, or I still talk to Big Dick Richard Hunter, I should call him. I think he wants to leave maybe that old nom de plume behind. So Richard Hunter.
I would embrace that one.
Why not? Hey, if you got it, why not? Byron says, I knew about Kelly's mom, but figured you were not mentioning it on purpose. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it. I mentioned it when it happened, but, look, like I say, it's coming for all of us. I love her like a sister, and I'm sorry she's going through it, and take all the time that she needs. That's how we do this, right? That's, I don't know what kind of support I can be, but anything that I can be, I would be. And there we are. All right. How are you? How was your weekend?
The weekend was great. I had to yell at my kid today for not hustling at basketball practice. I think I'm a psycho.
He did it again. This is like the second week in a row now that your kid is not hustling in basketball practice.
Yeah, and I even yelled at him before practice. Like, listen, I'm just going to be in the stands mean mugging you for an entire hour. You better pay attention to like everything the coach says. You better not mess up any drills.
How's his build? Like is he built like somebody who should be better and hustling better? Because like you're a pretty big guy. You can go, I didn't give you all of this for you to be a dog out there.
No, but he's going through what I went through. I was tiny the whole time I was growing up. I didn't get this big until I was like a senior in high school. And that's kind of the reason I wanted to play sports in college so bad. It's like, oh, really? We stopped playing sports now that I'm 6'3"?
Really? Yeah. Now? Well, who wants to pick? Choose up sides. You picking me last again? I don't think so. Look at me. I'm gigantic.
So, that really sucked because, like, my freshman year of football, on the chart, it was James Parker, 5'2", 108. I weighed 108 pounds.
You were 5'2" your freshman year?
Yeah. Super late bloomer, and I was small to begin with. So he's going through what I'm going through. But I didn't suck that bad. I hustled. I was a psycho. I would go for every loose ball. I was diving on the court. He didn't dive on the court once today. And like I fussed him for it. It's like, you see, because here's the advantage we have in modern times as a parent. If your kid's slacking off, you can just sit there and record it with your phone. And so when we got home, I'm like, you need to come here. He's like, oh no, Daddy recorded practice again. Yeah, I record his games and I call him out. I'm like, I see you like skipping over here. Who the hell's skipping during a basketball? I know that you scored and you're happy because y'all just took the lead and you're just going back to play defense because you're not allowed to full court press until the fourth quarter or whatever, but no skipping.
No skipping. You don't skip. Eye of the tiger. The eye of the tiger doesn't allow you to skip.
He does not have the eye of the tiger. Oh no.
My problem is just the opposite. My son is first of all, and certainly not going to go into it here, but my son's in some trouble. He did something that was not great, and none of us are very proud of him, and he's in a whole bunch of trouble. But on the field of play, my son's issue is that he is an uncontrollable animal who is a flag machine. He is unsportsmanlike. He throws tantrums and picks fights. And, if a dude owns him, he doesn't get up, dust it off. He follows the dude back to the huddle, talking smack. Oh yeah. He's a little bit too much of a maniac, and it got him in some trouble last year in football because he needs to calm his ass down. But he also dogs it. Like, like I've seen him like walking off the field. It's like, you don't walk off when you're changing sides, you don't walk off the football field. You run to the sideline. When your side is coming back on, when it's defense, you run to your position. Then you want to take a couple of breaths. That's fine. Get there first and then take a couple of breaths, but you don't walk. Yeah,
that's right.
I was such dicks. I was such a lazy piece of garbage. I mean, it's like, who am I?
Like, no. I wasn't. I was Dennis Rodman. I was not the most skilled or graceful dude out there, but I would crash in the boards, and I'm just causing chaos wherever I go. At least I'm not going to be the best guy. I don't have the best shot, whatever. But hell's coming with me. You might win. Yeah. Yeah, Jeff Glenn over there, Parker, you don't look that tall online. I get this a lot. No one looks 6'3" online. But the thing that throws you off, Jeff, is you don't understand how big my head is. I have like a Alec Baldwin, Barry Bonds.
He's got like a Rottweiler head.
And my body's almost proportionate. See, that's how you know I'm huge. You just can't tell. Yeah.
He's big. You're not huge. You're big. You're a big dude.
Yeah. My head's more huge.
You would be like a small guard in the NBA. You're not the smallest guard. You would not be the smallest guy in the NBA. There you go. That's something.
No, but I might be the shortest guy on the floor.
Yeah, you're not a power forward in the NBA. You're a guard.
No.
You're a guard, but you're big for a civilian. You're big for like a normal dude just out there walking around. Like if you got into it with you in a bar and you were sitting down and then you stood up, you might go, okay, oh shit, okay, I didn't realize. I didn't realize he was that big and that wide. Okay. All right. Good weekend of football. Did you watch football? Did you have some fun? I don't know what I'm going to do with myself this weekend. There's no football.
So I listened to a big chunk of those games. I listened to the end of the Chiefs and Bengals, which I thought was amazing. And then I got to listen. I was in the car again, listening to the end of the 49ers Rams. I was going up to Dallas to drop Stephanie off at the airport. And then we goofed around at Buc-ee's, and then driving home, I caught the.
Who's Stephanie?
That was the friend that I went to Tampa Bay with.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah. And then she was a guest one drunken Saturday or something. Yeah, okay. Remember when they were hammered and they were like, no, let me tell you something.
So where'd you take her, DFW or Love?
Love.
How you come by Love? You don't stop by the 1%er compound. We're adjacent to Love. We're right here.
That's fine. Maybe I would, but I had to get back.
You had to get back.
I got kids and stuff, man.
You got a bedroom here. You don't want to make the long drive back. Yeah, All right, whatever. That's fine by me.
Is that dog gonna eat me again?
Yeah, that dog sucks, man. That dog is becoming a problem. Is that dog here? CeeLo! I don't even know. Yeah, she's here. Okay, she's in the other room. She's laying on her chair. Hey, you want to do what we call the monologue? You got a monologue ready?
I do, and I do.
All right. What do you say we get into a little bit of monologue? Every night, we invite James Parker up here into the 1%er Comfort Nest Lounge, and we invite him to entertain you with his thoughts on the day, his humorous thoughts on the day. Okay, here it goes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the 1%er Comfort Nest Lounge, high above the 1%er compound in beautiful downtown Highland Park, Texas. He is a global sensation, the man of 1,000 voices, a maker of mirth for all of these years, James Hamilton Parker.
Thank you. Former President Trump held a Saturday night rally in Conroe, Texas. People who were there said it was more fun than yelling ICE in the Home Depot parking lot.
Oh!
Hate the ricochet. All right. Starbucks is planning to raise prices again, but economists say if they get any more expensive, customers will switch to cheaper alternatives like cocaine.
Sorry, I stepped on that one.
Whatever.
Cheaper alternatives like cocaine.
Yes, like cocaine. I hate that drum. All right, Joni Mitchell has joined Neil Young in removing her music from Spotify, and can you believe that? Joni Mitchell knows what Spotify is. Oh, get off my lawn. Making fun of old people. What's Spotify? Disney's live-action remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is not going to include the original dwarves, and actually dwarf actors are angry about that. They say they're getting shorted. You could have booed that one. A belated happy birthday to former Vice President Dick Cheney, who's 81 years old. If you want to send him a gift, he could use a new heart.
good. That was good stuff. All right, how about what is this? Oh, how about a moment of joy? This one's just for you. There's a moment of joy for you. Hold on, let me make sure I get it pulled up right. This is a good one. I can't wait for you to hold on. Can't wait for you to check this one out. I know you enjoy a pretty girl, right?
Never.
You enjoy a pretty girl. Well, here you
They're
go.
not objects, Pugs. They're human beings.
No, they're not. Well, here you go. Here's a pretty girl dancing.
I'm not going to enjoy this.
Why not? Yeah, I think you might. Look at her. How cute is she? Oh, yeah, I love watching the girls dance. She's laughing. Oh, jeez. Oh, no. You just don't know these days, Parker. I think that's the lesson to be learned here. You just don't know.
Right.
You just don't know.
Sometimes you're happy to be out of the game. Not my problem.
that was a hog too. I mean,
right?
That was like Tommy Lee special. That thing was.
I'm kind of upset, kind of jealous.
I don't know. It's kind of a curse because she makes a very passable.
Oh, I know. Right?
Very passable. She's very pretty. You saw that. I believe that's the term. Passable. Very passable.
Yes.
Oh boy, then you see that. You see that's like how drunk you gotta be.
There's not a drunk.
No, you don't get that. You don't get that home and then find out and go, well, we're here.
A mouse a mouth, is that what you're gonna say?
No, I'm just saying, everything but, I mean, everything else looks, I know, I couldn't either. And I'm not.
I mean, I'm open-minded. If that's your thing, knock yourself out. I'm not against it. It's just,
of course, but that's far larger than mine. And I would feel I wouldn't be it. There would be nothing. I couldn't. So there you have it. All right, you got anything today as we rip through the first? Oh boy, yeah.
Hey,
go ahead.
Well, just real quick, did Tom Brady retire? Because I keep hearing he's retiring, but he didn't say he retired, though, right?
No, and this is a really interesting thing that's happening here because it was broken on, was it Saturday? I want to say it was Saturday afternoon by Adam Schefter.
Well, he knows, right?
And, he is supposed to be the guy who knows. Jeff Darlington and Adam Schefter co-broke it. And it was shocking, although not crazy shocking, because I think there had been a lot of speculation the last couple of weeks based on the way Tom Brady behaved and some of the things that he said in the press conference following their loss to the Rams that suggested that this might be it for him. He might be done. And then the week after that, he launched a new business venture and he was all over social media about the business venture. And then he gave an interview about the business venture, talking about how it's going to take up most of his time. And then they asked him, so does this mean you're done with football? And he said, well, we've got to look at that and we're going to make a decision in the next couple of weeks. So there have been all of these things the last couple of weeks. And then Darlington and Schefter on Saturday put out a joint tweet because apparently they both found out and they didn't want to scoop each other. And they put out a tweet that said that Tom Brady has told the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and people close to him that he is retiring. And that set the Twitterverse afire, boy. Everybody was the GOAT. GOAT was. There was, I tweeted something on Saturday afternoon of the 10 top trending topics on Twitter that afternoon. 7 of them had to do with Tom Brady. That is how big that subject was on Twitter on Saturday afternoon. And then Saturday evening, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers released a statement that said that Tom Brady had not told them anything and that they could not confirm the report that was circulating by Schefter and Darlington. And then Tom Brady himself came out and said, I ain't said anything. I ain't made up my mind yet. Now, the speculation is that Tom Brady has decided to retire, but Darlington and Schefter scooped the moment. He wanted to do it on his own. He wanted to have his own sort of, control the cycle, control whatever it was. And now he's just pouting. That's one. I think he is going to retire. I think, how much longer can he play? He's looking around at the team. His team is fine, but they're not hungry. They're not hungry the way they were the year he came there. And, they were like, let's win. Those guys are all fat Super Bowl champions. They're fat and lazy now. They're like, all right, no matter what happens, we don't have to give it all in this game because we've already got our, that's what happens after teams win. That's why.
Absolutely.
So, we
Same
don't
thing
know.
happened to the Chiefs.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes, famously, the play that won him the Super Bowl, those many years ago. It was very similar to the play that he got sacked this past weekend when he was confabing with Andy Reid on the sideline, and he said, "Let's go for it." Was it a 4th and 1? Yeah, it was 4th and 1. He said, "Let's go for it." And I believe the quote was, "Let's drive the dagger into their hearts." And Andy Reid went, "All right, kid, you're my quarterback," and he did it. And they won the Super Bowl. Well, apparently he said the same thing on Saturday. Let's go for it. Let's drive the dagger. And he got sacked for a loss of like 15 and fumbled the ball. And luckily it was recovered by his own lineman. But yeah, you play the stats, you play the algorithms, you play the probability game. Sometimes it's going to win you a Super Bowl. Sometimes it's going to get you eliminated. And that's what we saw. What do you think about Brady? Where do you think his head's at?
I think he's going to retire. I wish he wouldn't. It's getting ridiculous though on the money situation. Does he really make that much more money by staying in football? Not really.
No, not at all. Yeah, he can do whatever he wants. He is at a point now where if Tom Brady said, "I want to go into the television booth and I want you to fire Troy Aikman," they would because he's Tom Brady. But that's almost beneath him. He has reached such a level in the sport that anything's like Michael Jordan. There were all kinds of opportunities for Michael Jordan could be sitting there with Charles and Shaq. But that's almost beneath what Michael Jordan was to the game. So the only thing Michael Jordan could do was own a team. And that's what he's doing now. He's owning a team. So I could see Tom Brady doing something like that.
He needs to do that.
That's not to shit on Shaq or Barkley or Troy or Tony Romo or any of those guys. Sean Payton, Drew Brees tried it. I'm just saying that
he's got a bigger check to cash.
He's like, he could be.
Right. Let me roll through this list of accomplishments thus far. So if he has retired and this is it and he's done, this is what he leaves behind: 22 NFL seasons, which is amazing right there. Almost no one can say that.
Nope.
There's like 4 kickers.
George Blanda, right? George Blanda is like the only guy. He played from 1945 to 1983. Like he played some ridiculous amount of time.
Okay, so most touchdown passes in NFL history. It was comical because he was in that race with Drew Brees, and they kept going back and forth. Yeah, I think it was last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but 624.
Carl?
624. Most passing yards in NFL history, 84,520. So he passed, Favre and Brees and all them. 243 regular season wins. That is the most in NFL history. 243 wins.
Oh, that's a lot.
Most playoff wins in NFL history. This is probably the most amazing stat in the whole list here. He has 35 playoff wins. Number 2, you want to guess who the quarterback is?
No, 35 playoff wins. Number 2. Okay, so it's got to be someone in relative modern times because of the expansion of the playoffs.
Yep.
So number 2 is going to be Peyton Manning.
Joe Montana. Dude won 4 Super Bowls. But Tom Brady has 35 playoff wins. Joe Montana has 16. And he's number 2. He's 19 playoff wins ahead of the number 2 guy. And it's Joe. He more than doubles Joe Montana's playoff wins. He has the most Super Bowl appearances of any player, 10. And, of course, the most Super Bowl wins of any single player, 7. And isn't there like 4 guys that have 5 Super Bowls, like Charles Haley and a couple others?
Yeah. Who's got a lot of Super Bowls? Terry Bradshaw's got 4. Yeah, I don't know.
5-time Super Bowl MVP, most in NFL history. He is the all-time playoff leader in touchdown passes, passing yards, and completions. 15 Pro Bowl selections. That's the most in NFL history. 3-time NFL MVP and 2009 Comeback Player of the Year.
And the hottest wife in the NFL. Although, that's a competition. I don't know. Maybe
that's a great competition.
That would be a fun one for us to look into. Yeah.
Okay, the magic that might happen at the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow would be the first quarterback to win the college football national title, the Heisman Trophy, and the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Not the first player, the first quarterback. 3 players have done it.
Who are the 3? Wait. Hold on, wait.
You'll guess 2 of them.
No, I won't. Super Bowl, Heisman, and
college national title.
College. All right, so already I'm thinking of quarterbacks, and you already said that it's not a quarterback. I'm going to say it's got to be a running back or a wide receiver.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. So a national title. Emmitt Smith?
No. 2 of them.
No, he didn't win. Emmitt Smith didn't win a Heisman. Yeah, I don't know. Give him to me.
Tony Dorsett.
Okay.
Marcus Allen. Charles Woodson.
Oh, wow. Defense. I wasn't even thinking defense. It's been so long since a defensive player.
No, I would have never gotten that 3rd one.
Or won a Heisman. Yeah. No. Joe Burrow, even though this is his, you know what's crazy about Joe Burrow is this is really his first full season because he got hurt his rookie year. He lost half his season, more than half his season his rookie year. So if you're Tom Brady, you're looking at a kid like Joe Burrow and you're going, okay, well, but it's Cincinnati. Cincinnati ain't going to put a dynasty together. They're just not. I'm sorry. What the New England Patriots were able to do was an anomaly. There is no. I don't see the Cincinnati Bengals.
Why not?
I just don't. Because, well, for one thing, big name players don't want to play their entire career in Cincinnati. And that's not to say that all these big time players played their entire careers in Boston. They just had a better chance of luring top players to come play in Boston because Boston's a cool city and it's like 45 minutes from New York and it's the Eastern Seaboard. It's a bigger media market. Nobody gets advertising. Nobody gets national commercials. I mean, Joe Burrow will, but he's the exception. You don't become a coast to coast star playing in a city like Cincinnati. Cincinnati's kind of like playing in Jacksonville. Or
that sucks for Cincinnati.
Well, it does. It really does.
How did the Colts keep Peyton Manning all those years? And then he goes to Denver, which is kind of a lateral move.
Yeah. Peyton Manning is kind of an exception there. That is, but it's not like the Indianapolis Colts were signing big name free agents every year to come play in Indianapolis.
Right.
They were like, nah. I mean, the big cities, the big glamour cities where there's like opportunities for extracurricular income. Those are the ones that are always going to be the big possible draws for the big free agents and the scary potential dynasty teams. Kansas City might be the exception because I think Patrick Mahomes is a transcendent player. I think that but it's not like anybody else. I can't imagine that like Tyreek Hill is going to play his entire career in Kansas City. At some point, he's going to want to go to New York or Los Angeles or not. Now you're dealing with Las Vegas. By the way, did you see this? Bisaccia, the guy who replaced Gruden as head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, the guy turned in a whale of a season. That team was decimated. That team lost their head coach to a scandal. Talk about how distracting that must have been. Then like 2 weeks later, one of their best young players kills a lady drunk driving, and the team, and this coach just steps in and gets them to the playoffs, and he didn't even get a second look as the head coach, the permanent head coach. They're just like, we're gonna go with Josh McDaniel. So they got Josh McDaniel, another one of these Bill Belichick coaching tree prodigy guys who's already been in the NFL and failed terribly and ended up back. Did you see the other day when I was telling you I found that list of Bill Belichick's?
We went through the tree. That was amazing, and we compared it to the Saban tree.
all of the genius Bill Belichick tree branches that have failed miserably in the NFL. None of them are any good. Whether you're talking about Romeo Crennel, Josh McDaniels was in there.
Wasn't Brian Flores part of that?
Brian Flores was part of that. The only ones who had any kind of success was Bill O'Brien. And I want to say, like, playoff victories. I think Bill O'Brien had 4. And I think Mangini, maybe he had 1. I don't know, whatever. But just because you're a Bill Belichick assistant coach doesn't mean you're going to be a great head coach. The history just doesn't play that out. And not only that, but so you got Josh McDaniel, who's already failed in the NFL as a head coach. He had to go back with his tail between his legs to Bill Belichick and be an assistant under him for a few more years before he's getting this next shot. This is something that I heard somebody say, and I thought it was so brilliant. Do you know how hard? I mean, it's great that there's a team in Vegas, right? Let's go to Vegas and go to a Raider game. Yeah. Do you know how difficult it is going to be moving forward to have a team in Vegas? Think about this. This is what I heard somebody say, and I thought, wow. He goes, let's say you play for the Las Vegas Raiders, okay?
Yeah.
Every single home game weekend, you're going to have people in town. Everybody wants to go to Vegas. Hey, man, we're going to come this week for the home game. Can you hook us up? And then the next week, it's like, 5 cousins. Hey, we're going to come to Vegas. Can you hook us up? Talk about a distraction, trying to keep your team focused. Every single, this isn't like, again, I'll use Jacksonville. No, I'll use Cincinnati. This isn't
Cincinnati,
like Cincinnati. Yeah. Ain't nobody, blowing up your phone because they want to have a crazy weekend in Cincinnati, so they're calling their friend who plays for the Bengals. Nobody's doing that. Vegas, that's going to be a problem moving forward. And, you have the Henry Ruggs situation where he's out partying on a Tuesday night and kills somebody. How much more of that kind of shit are we going to see from Raiders players? The temptation is insane.
Constant. It'll never stop.
So good luck to you, Josh McDaniel, but I don't know. I think now that I had never even considered that until I heard a former player say that. And I was like, wow, that's probably true. This was a former player who played for the Chicago Bears. And he said, it was bad enough in Chicago. People were like, yeah, we want to come to town. We want to play. And it's 0 degrees. Imagine Las Vegas in December when it's still in the 80s, and people are partying. So, hey, good luck to you, Josh McDaniel. But I don't know. Hey, you got anything?
That was it.
That was
just mostly the football stuff.
Appreciate your expediency there. Here, I got something that I wanted. I saved it for today. It was trending.
Oh, you know what? I did. It's a quickie, though. I sent you an audio clip.
Oh, okay. Hit me up.
It's just a weird story. There's a rabbit holocaust in a Florida town.
A rabbit holocaust?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably not the right word for it, but anyway, I think it was WINK or something that did the report.
Wink. All right, here we go. So I just got to listen to it?
It's not unusual.
Yeah.
Is that all we're doing?
Yeah.
All right.
It's not unusual to see these guys hopping around in the Parker Lakes community. But to see them in this condition, that's got people in this South Fort Myers neighborhood worried and upset.
Right at our front door. And I thought, kind of let it go. And then about 2 weeks later, we saw another one behind the house. And then after looking a little more, there was another one 10 feet away.
And after talking to neighbors, he realized he's not the only one running into this.
Did a little research on the internet and came across this rabbit hemorrhagic disease.
So I reached out to Florida Fish and Wildlife, and they say rabbit hemorrhagic disease virus 2 is something they've been keeping an eye on around the state. It's not
okay.
Sure they have.
What is rabbit hemorrhagic disease? Do we know?
Well, this is very serious, Pugs. I don't appreciate you making light of it. There's a lot of suffering bunnies out there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about squirrel toothaches? Can we be concerned about impacted molars among squirrels as well?
It is a viral hepatitis that affects rabbits. No laughing matter, Pugs. Anyway, it's just funny because there's some poor subdivision in a place called Parker Lakes for some reason. And they just have like hordes of rabbits coming in their neighborhood and dying. So they just have rabbit carcasses all over the place. Thought that was hilarious.
Rabbit hemorrhagic disease. Hey, Bill Falk in the chat room says KC is centrally located and it's a short flight. It's a short flight to where? It's not a short flight.
No, like whether you're from Chicago or Seattle, it is like geographically center of the continent.
But it ain't a short flight to the West Coast from Kansas City. You gotta go over. That West Coast. Although whenever I think of West Coast flights, I think of it from Chicago.
Also, he's from Tyler, so
yeah. All right, I ain't centrally located. It ain't near anything. At least like the Green Bay Packers. When the Green Bay Packers make a little bit of money, they can buy a nice house in like, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Madison, or Chicago. That's like, a close drive. That's just like 2.5 hours from all those places. You could do that. But Kansas City, like where are you gonna go if you're in Kansas City?
St. Louis, Omaha,
not St. Louis. Nobody wants to live in St. Louis. That's Tulsa. Maybe Tulsa. Tulsa, you could have some money. You got to look at the places where there's money. There's oil money in Tulsa. There's oil money in where I don't even know where Kansas City is.
Missouri. It's on the west side of Missouri.
Yeah, I know. It's not in Kansas, as like a lot of dopes think. Hold on.
I don't think anybody thinks that anymore.
Oh, yeah, a lot of dopes do. Well, because there is a Kansas City, Kansas. It's on the border. There's half of it's in Kansas. Well, right. It's 2 separate places. But the big one with the sports teams is in Missouri. Let's see. Let me take a look at this. Let me see what we're near here. Yeah. Oh, really? I had to choose Bing Maps? Yikes. Yeah, dude, there ain't Topeka? Des Moines? You're closest to Des Moines? Nah, you're not close to nothing. As a matter of fact, that's the worst place because you are literally dead center in the middle of nowhere. And
wouldn't Denver be more isolated?
Denver's far away. Denver's, how many miles is that? 260. Denver's like 700 miles
No,
away.
I mean, isn't it more isolated even than Kansas City?
Oh, no, because I think Denver sucks too. Denver does suck. Yeah, Denver sucks. But Kansas City's like the most isolated. Kansas City, it's a 4-hour plane ride to the East Coast and a 4-hour plane ride to the West Coast. Maybe 2 hours to Texas. Maybe 2 hours to Chicago. 2 hours to Vegas. Yeah, it's 2 hour. 2-hour flights suck. Ain't nobody like 2-hour flights. I mean, I guess they're better than 4 and 5-hour flights, but I like to keep my flights down to like 90 minutes.
How long is it from Dallas to Chicago?
90 minutes. That's
way.
Yeah, it's a nice little 90 minute.
Dallas to Chicago is 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Done it many times. That's why that's my cutoff, because that's an easy flight. That's like, you get up, you're up at cruising altitude, and then you watch an episode of something, a half-hour sitcom, and then they're telling you, we're 500 miles from our destination, prepare to land, and then the next 25 minutes is landing. It's perfect. It's beautiful. All right, yeah. Have you ever been to Kansas City?
I have not.
I feel like I'm shitting on Kansas City. I've never been there. It might be wonderful.
You are completely crapping all over it, yes.
I don't mean to crap on it. It might be nice. It just seems like it's an ashtray. It just seems like it's just in the middle of that part of the country where there's nothing interesting. There's no valleys, there's no rivers, there's no dense forests, there's no mountains. It's like Oklahoma. Oklahoma is bad. Oklahoma is just, well, that's why we gave it to the Indians, because it's like the shittiest part of the country that nobody could do anything with.
Man, you are cold.
I'm not cold. I'm a regionalist. I am. I believe. Look, I'm spoiled. I'm from the Great Lakes. It's absolutely beautiful up there. We've got valleys and rivers and hills and
polar vortexes.
Sure, yes, we have that. But then I also moved to Texas here, where we've got beautiful scenic desert scapes. Then we've got the hill country. Then we've got stuff here. I don't know about Kansas City. Although, you know what? Honestly, this is crazy because I talked this shit about Kansas City in one of the most beautiful states I've ever driven through is Missouri. I mean, there's a part of Missouri, the part of Missouri that's near Arkansas is just so beautiful.
Ozarks.
Yes, exactly. That's so beautiful. But that ain't Kansas City. Kansas City
seems like Pleasantville almost, because of all the major cities that have like the crime wave. Like I think the murder capital of the country this year was Houston, which is, it kind of bobbles around between Detroit and Baltimore and Chicago and some of the usual suspects. New Orleans sometimes pops its head up. But to see Houston on there, but Kansas City's never in that conversation.
I'm looking at some pictures of Kansas City. I just had to pull it up. Very flat. Yeah, a downtown area that's...
Flat's good?
No, flat's not good.
Wow, you're such a topographical elitist.
I am. Kansas City, it's not good. All the pictures of Kansas City are artist rendering. None of it's like actual. It looks like it's downtown area. Downtown Kansas City looks like if you took Fort Worth and Milwaukee and went and made them one place. That's not like a cool skyline like Dallas or Houston or anything like that. It's probably like a quarter that size, Certainly isn't like San Francisco or New York or Chicago or Boston. It's not like a big expansive cityscape, but
Kansas City is market 34.
Yeah. I don't want to deal with anything that's out of the top 20.
Look at you.
That's almost out of the top 40.
It's slightly smaller than Austin. Look at Las Vegas is 31.
Austin's great. Like
Austin's 32.
Austin's downtown cityscape is terrific.
It is, and I love that. Cincinnati is 33. Kansas City's 34. Cleveland is 35, and then Columbus is 36. So you see the size of cities it runs with. But I don't hear nearly as much negative stuff about Kansas City that I do Cleveland.
Yeah, but that's because Kansas City is clean, and Cleveland is just like a big industrial Rust Belt shithole. They made a lot of pollution. They got a lot of smokestacks and factories.
Kansas City seems kind of clean and new, and it didn't have a bunch of old smokestacks.
It does. It seems boring. It seems very boring. Seems very clean, but very boring. And they got like a downtown area that everybody talks about. Oh, you got to go to the Flats. I think that's what it's called, the Flats.
What, really? Kansas City?
Yeah. So really? So you got like one neighborhood? You got like one neighborhood where people got to go to? We're in Dallas here. We got like 15 neighborhoods. You can go to Bishop Arch, you can go to Deep Ellum, you can go to Uptown. You know what I mean? You go downtown, You go to any of these neighborhoods. You got one little neighborhood.
We have no idea what we're talking about.
I don't. Never been to Kansas City. I'm just telling you what I think. I would choose Kansas City over Salt Lake City, though. I had a friend who lived in Salt Lake City.
Oh, it wasn't good?
The worst. Just the worst.
Explain.
He was single and he worked in radio in Salt Lake City. And all I remember him saying was, it is a city where he lived in downtown Salt Lake City. There's a city, there is absolutely nothing to do, and you are surrounded by some of the most beautiful women on the planet, and they are all Mormon who will not have sex with you. It's like
hell. That sounds terrible. Just like hell.
It's just terrible. And I go, what about bars and all that? Hotels. They have bars and hotels. That's pretty much it. He's the one who taught me about the post office for booze. Do you know about this?
No.
Again, this is like 20 years ago. So they don't sell liquor in Salt Lake City because maybe they do now. But again, this was like a long time ago. And he told me, like, if you wanted to buy beer or booze, you had to go to this government building that sold beer and booze. And it didn't even look like a liquor store. Like, it looked like a post office. And they didn't allow any advertising. So, when you walk into a liquor store, well, you're in New Orleans, or you were in New Orleans. You walk into a liquor store and it's like Vegas with all the signs and Miller Lite cutouts of girls. And none of that. It's just like very antiseptic. And you just walk up to a counter. Yes, I would like a case of Miller Lite. And they're like, okay, fill this out. Like, fill out paperwork. Yeah, it's crazy. He's like, oh, it's terrible. And then, funny enough, this guy went from doing a radio show in Kansas City to a radio show in Milwaukee, which is like nothing but bars and booze.
Made of beer, yeah.
Their baseball team is called the Brewers. I mean, everything up there is about booze and party. But the women, that's the other thing. The women in Milwaukee, yeah. If you could somehow take the women from Salt Lake City and put them in Milwaukee, then you might have something. But he's now in Chicago, so he made it. Good for him. He went up and up and up.
That deserved a ricochet.
I don't know. I meant to hit the applause, but I hit the wrong thing. All right. So I wanted to talk about this with you. It was trending earlier today, and I mentioned it. I talked a little bit about it on the High Noon Show where we go over all the trending topics. But I thought, you know what? This seems like maybe a discussion. This seems like maybe something that we should really get into. So have you heard about the University of Pennsylvania woman swimmer, Leah Thomas?
Of course. But yes, I have.
Okay. So
not to be pompous about it, but yes.
So you are following this story. So let me nutsack it for you.
Hey, that did deserve a ricochet. Yeah.
So Leah Thomas is a woman's NCAA swimmer for the University of Pennsylvania, and she's apparently doing very well. She's good. She's defeating a lot of her teammates, and she's defeating a lot of the other girls that she swims against. And here's the thing. Leah Thomas has only been a girl for a year. She was last year, Leah Thomas was on the men's swim team. She was a scholarship swimmer, which means she was good in high school. She's a good swimmer. I mean, University of Pennsylvania, that's not like, Akron State or whatever. I mean,
that's technically Ivy Leagues, right?
Yeah. Is it? Well, UPenn, is that it? Is it Penn?
Yeah.
Because I don't think I've ever heard University of Pennsylvania referred to as UPenn. It's Penn, not to be confused with Penn State. That's a different school, but this is the Ivy League Penn. This is the Wharton School of Business, right? That's Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Okay. So now she's swimming on the female team. And, here, just so you don't get my filter, I will read you the story. Teammate of trans UPenn swimmer Leah Thomas slams school for prioritizing her inclusion in the team and claims they will sue if she's banned from competing in NCAA. That's worded strangely. So the teammates are pissed that the school seems to be supporting her transition from the men's swim team to the women's swim team. And her other teammates are saying, we're going to sue the school if, this continues. Because put it this way, let's say you're a 19-year-old girl in college, maybe you've worked your entire life to be the best caliber swimmer that you can be. Let's say you have dreams of, winning your whatever it is. You have dreams maybe of getting noticed and making it on the Olympic team, whatever your dreams are as a young female swimmer at the University of Pennsylvania. And then all of a sudden there's this like new person on the team who's like the best on the team, making everybody look really bad. And that person is a foot taller than everybody else. Her hands are twice the size. Her legs are gigantic. She can kick and she can thrust and she can swim. She can do all the things. The lung issue is another thing. She still has male lungs, which apparently is a big deal in swimming, where you can hold your breath longer and you're able to take bigger strokes underwater. I'll read the story and then we'll get into it, okay? Just so we're all on the same page, because a teammate of trans UPenn swimmer Leah Thomas claimed the university is too focused on Thomas's success and would sue if she's not allowed to compete. The teammate said she overheard administrators say they were prepared to sue if transgender rules were changed for the NCAA championships in March. Okay, that's all very confusing because... Okay, so I'll just read you the story. A swimmer on the University of Pennsylvania women's team slammed the school for focusing all of its attention on transgender teammate Leah Thomas and claimed the university would sue if there is a rule change that prevents her from competing in March's NCAA championships. Okay, so there is some talk among the NCAA that they're not going to let her compete against other women. And the University of Pennsylvania is like, well, if you don't allow our trans swimmer to compete against, Yale or Harvard, we're going to sue. And her teammates are like, why are you suing? This is not fair to us. And we're on the team. So that's the complaint. The swimmer, who spoke with Fox News on condition of anonymity, said it was not fair to allow Thomas, 22, who transitioned from male to female last year, to compete with athletes who were born female, and said the university was transfixed on helping Thomas compete. She added that she heard from some administrators that either UPenn or Penn Athletic would file a lawsuit if Thomas was not allowed to compete in the 2022 NCAA swimming and diving championships. Quoting now from the teammate, "I have a feeling that if USA Swimming changes their rules for trans athletes, University of Pennsylvania will be filing a lawsuit on behalf of Leah to allow her to swim. But they wouldn't do that for any of us," she said. "That's just really upsetting." All right, we'll continue now, and then we'll get into a conversation about this. God, these pictures are crazy. She's like...
She's stunning and brave, Pugs. Stunning
so
and brave.
much
I don't
bigger.
Appreciate the bigotry I'm hearing on the other end of this microphone.
You're not getting any bigotry. You're just getting me looking at this swim team and then this much larger individual.
She's stunning and brave, Pugs.
Well, she very well may be. Stunning, I don't know. I guess that's
She's
a relative
beautiful.
thing,
She's beautiful.
And she probably is brave. This is probably difficult for her, but it doesn't change. All right, I'm going to read the story. Now you're being snarky. I'm trying to just go through this like a decent human being.
Right.
UPenn did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Like many of Thomas's critics on the team, the teammate spoke under anonymity because she feared the backlash and being labeled transphobic. She told Fox that it was ultimately impossible for Thomas to compete fairly against other female swimmers. "We kind of realized that it's not just testosterone levels," she said. "It's testosterone levels in her body from the last 20 years and how they've affected her. You know, the fact that Thomas went through male puberty, in the way that built her heart and her lungs and her hands, in the way she circulates blood, in the lactic acid levels, and all of that stuff. Those are all advantages. Stuff that it's not just the difference between two girls and how one might have slightly larger lungs and that might give them a slight advantage," she added. "These are monumental advantages that she has, that biological males just develop through puberty. And it's not something that a year of hormone treatments can suppress, because they still have all the muscle mass that they've had for the last 20 years. And this girl, these pictures of this girl has a lot more muscle mass than every other girl on the team. She is much larger. She is significantly larger." The teammate added that UPenn seems to care more about Thomas than the rest of the team, as multiple members continue to protest Thomas's inclusion on the team. "They are basically saying that Leah swimming is non-negotiable," she said. "They weren't willing to actually help us. They were just willing to brush it under the rug and say, 'Oh, well, your feelings are valid, but this is our position.' They're just proving once again that they don't actually care about their women athletes," the swimmer said of the University of Pennsylvania. "They say that they care and that they're here for our emotions, but why do we have to be gracious losers?" These are her own teammates who are saying, "Why do we have to be gracious losers? She's kicking our ass in the pool every day, and it isn't fair because she isn't like the rest of us." They're just proving once again that they don't actually care about their women athletes. They say that they care and that they're here for our emotions, but why do we have to be gracious losers? Who are you to tell me that I shouldn't want to win? Because I do want to win. I'm swimming. I'm dedicating more than 20 hours a week to this sport. These people in Penn's administration department who just think that women should just roll over, it's disturbing. And it's reminiscent of the 1970s when they were fixing the Title IX and stuff like that. They don't actually care about women at all. Oh, my goodness. All right, hold on. And then there's some pretty rough. The NCAA, which sets rules allowing transgender athletes to compete after completing 1 year of hormone therapy, recently washed its hands of the row, announcing that transgender participation will now be determined by each sport's national governing body. Okay, so you get that?
That's a punt. That's a total punt.
Oh, it's a punt. So the NCAA...
Not my problem. Yeah.
You know what? USA Swimming, Here you go. You guys
take it up with them. Take it. Your problem is with them, not us.
USA
not
Swimming,
us.
you guys deal with this hot potato.
We don't make the rules here. Yeah.
USA Swimming firmly believes in inclusivity and the opportunity for all athletes to experience the sport of swimming in a manner consistent with their gender identity and expression. USA Swimming stated last week. We also strongly believe in competitive equity, and like many, are doing our best to learn and educate ourselves on the appropriate balance in this space. USA Swimming had said it would allow non-elite athletes to compete in a way that is consistent with their gender identity, but did not make clear whether transgender swimmers like Thomas are considered elite. USA Swimming did not respond to a request for an update on Thomas's eligibility. Okay, and then it goes on to talk about how Leah Thomas is, they shit talk her a little bit. And there's also the issue that, and this is what I found the most shocking. The girls on the swim team, the biological born girls on the swimming team have made numerous complaints to the school that they want Leah to have her own locker time, that she needs to shower in a different locker because the girls swim team are taking their showers and they're doing all their girly stuff in there. And Leah still has a giant hog and she's just walking around and still dates women. So Leah, who was born a boy, who was a boy up until last year and was a male athlete on the men's swim team, still dates women, even though she is transitioning to a woman, and, is naked with all of the boy parts in the locker room with these other girls, and the other girls are complaining, and University of Penn is saying, be respectful. Now, I'm a very open-minded guy, but I'm sorry. This is no different than my take on female fighters in MMA. It's like when a dude, Fallon Fox is like the great example. Mm-hmm. Fallon Fox was a male MMA fighter who transitioned into a female and then started fighting women and just kicking the shit out of women because she was just gigantic and she was just crushing women, knocking them out with one punch. And it's like, wait a second, that dude has a linebacker's shoulders. That woman, I mean, that's not fair.
It's a dude. It's fine if you slip.
And for a while there were people, progressive-minded individuals like myself, who were saying, well, she should be allowed to compete. And then they watch a highlight of Fallon Fox just cleaning some girl's clock. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, that's a little bit unnerving. That's not really. I mean, this is the same kind of situation here. Here, I will show you. I'll pull up these pictures so that, everybody can see what we're talking about. Like, I'm not just trying to be cruel or anything, but imagine your daughter who you took to swim practice for the last 18 years of her life or whatever it is, here, let me find it. And okay. all of a sudden she's sucking in college.
You make it sound like this is just so obvious that they're different and that they have no business confusing the two, but this is the majority opinion of most of the college campuses. This is the majority dominant opinion of academia right now. All the colleges are signed on to this. Find one that is saying the counter to this this gender fluidity garbage. Find it.
Well, look, I think it's fine. I mean, I think it's fine to be accepting.
It's fine to be accepting. No, it's fine to be accepting.
But where I draw the line is with athletic competition, when there is an obvious advantage to somebody who has a different body structure, whose body was just weightlifting, boxing, why do you think the fastest person in the world, the fastest sprinter in the world will never be a woman? Because a man's body is just designed differently.
Well, you can stack onto that a few millennia of patriarchal oppression.
No, okay, you're being snarky.
Well, look,
I'm trying to be serious.
Pugs.
I'll call them they. I'll attempt to get the pronouns properly. I have no judgment in my heart, but this is bullshit.
This is what people with PhDs think. These are people that have doctor in front of their name think. This is what the majority opinion is of the Board of Regents across college campuses all across this country. Higher education has freaking mutated into something scary on the social side of the order. We do fine when it comes to like engineering and computer science, but you get into these soft sciences, and I don't know if they're doing mushrooms or something, but fine. Don't listen to me. Let it blow up in its face. And I don't want this to be too big of a deal before the next couple years, because I am waiting I am so waiting for the 2024 Olympics, when the women's game is going to be so infiltrated with this. It's just going to be the mutant show thumping ladies for, what is it, a month and a half or so? Like, how long's the Summer Olympics? I can't, because there was like 4 of them in it this time around, and it was such
you have to call them mutants, but
they're mutants. No. Look, when you take a normal biological form and you either deform it or add something to it, you have mutated it. I'm using the word correctly and not as a pejorative. So what you would have is these bearded ladies going around just stomping biological females into mud holes constantly. And I'm going to be watching it and enjoying my popcorn and drinking my beer and having a good old time.
So let me direct your attention to the picture that I'm showing here. You see the red circle. The red circle is around Leah. She's in that's the rest of the swimming team. Those are all the girls. Now, granted, some of the girls in the front are on their knees, but look at her shoulders. Look at these arms. This is a man.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
This is 20 years of it's just not fair. This girl cannot compete in a swim trial against this. This is is an advantage.
Well, you know who else is the man? Caitlyn Jenner. But it was a hate crime to say that, for the last decade.
So here he was. This was him last year. Okay, I guess that's proper, because here he is as a him.
You're dead naming him. You're dead pronouncing him.
I don't even know what his real name is. I'm not dead naming him. I don't know.
Will. His name's Will.
His name is Will. Okay. And Will is not gay. Will, all right.
He's not a freak.
I guess if he's a woman, he is gay, because he still dates women. Right?
Man, come on.
No, let's work this through in our head.
I know. Well, look, in fantasy land, he's a trans lesbian. In the real world, he's a dude and is straight.
Well, there he is. Good looking dude too.
I know, like, he wouldn't have problems.
No.
He doesn't need this.
And then here, this is a video. I'll leave it here.
Is this the one where he beats the girl by like 38 seconds?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Hilarious.
He's like ahead by. He just
love it. I love it.
Just the entire everybody else. He just smoked them. She just smoked them. So I mean, rational minds have to understand that this is just not fair. And I'm thinking of myself as, I don't have a daughter, but what if I did? Had a daughter who worked her entire life to try and be a standout swimmer, and she set these goals for herself, and then all of a sudden she's got to compete with someone who a year ago was a male scholarship athlete. A male scholarship. Well, men aren't better than women. Yes, they are. In certain physical things, they are. And it is about muscle mass. It is about size. It is about strength, and it is about speed. The male gender just has an advantage.
How do all of these people who are in positions of power on every college campus not come to that same conclusion, Pugs?
I don't know.
How can Ivy League, this isn't even like the Richland Community College over in Garland. This is Ivy. This is the tippy top, the elitist of the elite of higher learning here. And they have to pretend to not know that men and women are different. They pretend like it's a social construct.
So this is interesting. Let's go into what Jeff is saying. 20 years ago, there was a big push for girls to be able to play on boys' football teams, but now they can't race in a pool. Jeff, I know you to be a pretty open-minded guy. I can't believe you don't see the problem here. I
think he does. We have to be misinterpreting that, because I thought the same thing. And that's the solution for what do you do with the trans? You have to compete against the boys. You have to compete against the men. Because the men division is really the open division. It's just girls aren't good enough to compete in it.
That is a rough thing for people to hear, but it is true.
Oh, I love saying rough, true stuff.
It is true. I mean, in golf, they have a different tee box because women cannot drive the ball as far as men can. That's
right.
just a fact, and that's because of the physical nature of the bodies.
And here's my favorite. There's no such thing as the NBA. There's just the NBA. But none of you chicks are good enough to get in it. That's all.
There's a lot of great female college softball players, but if any one girl who's a female college softball player could hit 101 mile an hour fastball, she'd be in the major leagues. And that's just
celebrated too. Yes, we would let her in.
Yeah, if someone could do it, if someone could do it without having, an advantage, man.
Dude, right wingers, left wingers, libertarians, everyone would love to see that story.
How is this a right wing left? How is this a right? Unfortunately, because everything's political, how does this become a right? How do I, someone who is a pretty well established progressive center left thinker, how am I like all of a sudden now like this closed minded? I'm not banishing her. I just don't think she should compete against my daughter. I think that it's obvious she has an unfair advantage. Her hands are gigantic. That's a big thing in swimming. Her feet are gigantic. That's a big thing in swimming.
Here's the good thing about swimming is that you're not actually competing against someone. So what you can do is just really say, okay, who is the fastest woman out there? And ignore whatever time that dude gets. And so you don't get the medal and your name's not in the paper, but you know who really was the fastest girl. That's what it is. Look, when my nephew was playing soccer, he started playing real young and they didn't keep score. And, he was 6 years old, but after the game, you'd be like, what was the score? He'd be like 6-2. They were keeping score just because they didn't keep score. Like everyone knows what the real score is, right?
We saw that dude score 5 goals on you.
Yeah. and so like at the swim meet where Leah Thomas is torching chicks by 38 seconds, we know who really won the race. We know who was really the fastest woman there. And then there was a dude that was even faster than the women, but whoever got second place was the real winner in that race. Let him eat it. I'm enjoying watching him eat it. It's like, fine, don't believe me. I said men and women are different. You said it's a social construct. Okay, fine. I can't wait for the Olympics in 2024. Let's go. This is going to be great.
Why aren't we dealing with this now in the Olympics? I mean, there's got to be a couple of trends.
We did Lauren Hubbard because that was the delayed Olympics from 2020 that we just did last summer. And we saw, I think there was 4 different trans attempts, or maybe just one actually competed. But I think there was a trans bobsledder or something coming up in this one.
That's fine. that's fine.
That doesn't count.
Trans bobsledder, that's fine. Right?
Oh, look, Jeff is a believer. No, Jeff, that's not the same thing. That's not unless you believe white people and black people have inherently biologically different traits based solely on the color of their skin.
That's like me telling my kids when he placed 5th in high jump that he was the best of the white. Yeah, I don't think that's consistent with what we're talking about.
Jeff, when they dug
unless you believe there is a physical difference between black people and white people, is that what Jeff thinks?
That's not what Jeff thinks.
Because there is a physical difference between males and females. That's where I'm going with this.
Absolutely. It's all the way down to your bones. Jeff, it was just a few years ago, they dug up the oldest human skull in the Western Hemisphere. Because we migrated here, and they're trying to find the oldest one so we could figure out when we migrated here. It was 13,000 years old, just at the thaw of the last ice age. They can look at it and tell that this 13,000-year-old skeleton was from a 15-year-old girl. Maybe 16, but probably 15. But they know for sure it's a girl. We are biologically different, and that's okay. They can't tell if she was white or black or brown. They have no idea what her skin color is, but they know her gender just by looking at her bones.
And I also think that you can be trans positive, which I guess is how I would describe myself. I think it's great. You live your life. You do what you want to do. That's fine. I'm not one of these people who are going to freak out because there's a trans person near my kid on the bike path. That's moronic. That's silly. Yeah. These are just people going through things, and they make their own choices and they live their life. But if we start getting into a situation where the fact that they have transitioned is going to be some form of an advantage over someone that hasn't, we have to call that out. We have to point that out. This is the Fallon Fox thing. And this is another, people got really angry at Joe Rogan for this going back 10 years or so. Because Joe Rogan's like, I would not call that fight. I would not call that fight. And I would actually, he said that he would levy a complaint with whatever governing body in MMA that would sanction a fight against someone like Fallon Fox, who was a man and then decided that she wanted to become a woman MMA fighter, because it was just unfair. She was thicker. She was wide. Look at men. When men fill out, we get thicker. We are wider. Women can get, fat and heavy and be just as wide as a guy, but it's a different kind of wide. It's a different kind of thickness. We talked about your big Rottweiler head. Women do not get these giant, broad shoulders. And we're talking about swimming, where they were specifically complaining about he's got men's feet. He's got like a size 12 foot, where the rest of these girls, if you were going to do it comparatively, are running around with like 8s. I mean, when you're kicking in the water, the larger, it's like he's wearing fins compared to the girls that he's swimming against. And his broad shoulders and his big giant lungs that sit inside his male torso are advantage. This is just not fair. And you can't call me, closed-minded or anything about this, because I'm not closed-minded when it comes to the general conversation about trans rights. I am fine. Live and let live, man. That's what I say. But this is different. We're getting into a specific area.
No, I think most people agree with that. Everyone
I would think, right? But are people too programmed? Like to just go, wait a second, that doesn't sound like it's universally and unconditionally supportive of a person's right to be trans. I've got to go on, right? I mean, do people think this through?
Well, it takes all kinds, just like it takes all kinds on the gender thing. But there's people out there who are true believers who really do think gender's fluid. You're not going to change their mind. There's people like us who are kind of open-minded about it, but we recognize that biologically speaking, of course they're different and everyone can freaking tell. And then there's about a third of the population that will just do whatever the popular sentiment is because they don't want to get bothered at work, or that's what they see on Facebook, or that's what they hear from their friends. And so they'll just go along to get along and not really a deep thinking about it. So, they just got to get to their next beer or Kardashian episode or whatever they do. Dumb people do.
A couple weekends ago, I picked my 12-year-old son up from junior high. And I was a little bit, they got out of school at like 3:30 and I got there about 3:45. And my 12-year-old son and a couple of his buddies were hanging out by the bike rack by the football field. And there were a bunch of girls they were just like a group of kids, a group of 7th graders that were all hanging out. I thought those girls were like 5th graders. They were so little. And like my son and his friends were just like so much big. Of course there's a difference between a male and a female. Our bodies are just different. And just how we've got to all be reasonable here. We can be supportive. We can be understanding. We don't have to be closed-minded. Some people are just closed-minded and they're just going to be that way. But my God, why can't we just be intellectually consistent? And there apparently we now believe, as you pointed out, that there isn't there's a group of people out there trying to make us think that there is no physical difference between men and women. And genetically there is. There is. Comes down to bone density. It comes down to size. It comes down to I know a woman who's 6'5". Yes, you do, but she is not the norm.
And I could still beat the hell out of her, whoever she is.
I don't know about that, but are you one of these guys who thinks that even like the toughest MMA female fighter you could take?
No, I can't take the toughest MMA. But the bit I used to do when I was on the morning show in New Orleans is I would say any female that's listening right now, we'll have a boxing match. The money will go to charity. We'll send it to the Bridge House or whatever. And anyone who's listening right now. So I know Muhammad Ali's daughters could probably beat me up, but she ain't listening right now. Yeah. Give me a call and we'll do it. And so there were a couple girls called, said, I could beat you up. And I'm like, how big am I? They're like 5'8". Okay. I'm 6'3". I'm 220.
I'm 6'3".
I'm not in amazing shape.
I got a 70-inch reach. There's no way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you with my giant paws.
And I'm just mean as hell.
All right. Well, there you go. I wanted to have that conversation with you because I thought,
bro, that's the majority opinion of Netflix and the news channels and ABC and NBC and CBS and academia and
that women
it's a social construct.
that
Yes,
trans women should be able to compete with non-trans women in athletic events.
they're not all on the record of saying that, but that is the natural conclusion of gender being a social construct and not a biological fact.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's fair. And again, I go back to the father of a daughter who's like, "What did I wake up at 5 a.m. taking you to swim practice for if you're just going to get dusted by some dude?" Oh, there I go. I just said some dude, somebody who was a dude a year ago, because that's irrefutable. He was on the men's swim team.
I don't want it to go away. I hope it lasts until the next Olympics because it's going to be delicious. I'm going to enjoy every second of it.
I don't want to see that. I hope cooler heads prevail. I hope we figure out a way to do this. Maybe that's just a third category. Trans athletes competing against other trans athletes. That's fine.
No, when they come crying too, the ones that's not fair. I'll be like, no, get back out there. No,
and then we find out that there's really not as many of them as, you know what I mean?
It only takes one for each event.
2, you got to compete against, or unless you're just going to give the award to the one person who showed up. All right. Hey, Leah Thomas, there's no hate. Good for you, girl. Yeah, I did that right. Hey, good for you, girl, but it's not fair. Got an advantage. All right, thank you, Parker. There he goes. Phone's about to die. All right, we'll be back tomorrow at noon. I know, it's a provocative thing to try and wrap your mind around. There was some snarky hate, though. I'm just trying to be authentic about my concerns here. And I will say this. I absolutely do not believe, no matter who tells me it's true, I do not believe that the male physical form and the female physical form are the same. They're not. They are built for different things. Go look up Fallon Fox. Go watch some of her fights. Go watch her cleaning the clock of other female MMA fighters. All right. We ran out of song. We ran out of song. Wasn't even done yet. Sorry. Okay, so join us back tomorrow, if you'd be so kind, for high noon. That's noon Central Standard Time, the best time. We're going to do all the day's topics, headlines, current events, all that kind of stuff. We'll get you all prepped up. We do that every day, Monday through Friday. And then we come back and we do this little pillow talk with me and Parker every night at 9 o'clock, also Central Time. End of the month, you can support the show. You can hit me up on any of those links. Appreciate any support. Keep us going. It is bill time. And that's it. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for joining us here. And have a good night. From the comfort nest. I'm out here. See you tomorrow at noon. Bye. I am on a never-ending quest.